It may be seen, it may be unseen. It may be delayed. It may come in after everyone's gone to bed and you're in bed. It could happen anyway. What I always tell people, don't look to the external things that happen. Be in the moment and in the process, and then everything that can happen will happen. It's really important. It's the zen of ET contact, being in that flow consciousness. Okay, I think most people are coming. We'll just let them trickle in. Go ahead. You'll have some questions you want to present?
Yes, we do.
Another one. Day late and $1 short, honey. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Some very good ones. Some very interesting ones.
Good.
Okay, let's start off with this one. We might as well jump right on in there. Why are religious influences so interested in suppressing this? For example, the Mormon Church.
Well, you know, I actually, what a quagmire. There's a trap right there. I think there's a, I smell a rat. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. No, the reality is, okay, first of all, in the most organized religions on the planet, if the people at the top of the intelligence community and the Pentagon and the White House and the Senate and the House and the Ministry of Defense of the United Kingdom that I've met with, who aren't part of this cabal of sociopaths, don't know anything, why would someone who's in a church, whether you're whatever? So I think that for the most part, it's just a lack of knowledge information. So they're not going to, you know, they're still going, is this even true or not? Now, to the extent that there are compartmented operations in some of these organizations, which there are, such as at the Vatican, Opus Dei, and some of the groups within Mormonism and other Christian and other religious groups, they have representation on this committee. But they don't tell their other leaders, and they don't tell any more than if there's an embedded member of the Senate, like Senator John Warner, who was read into this. His main job was to tell other senators, none of this is true. See, that's how it works. So you can't make these sweeping sort of assumptions about anyone until you find out if they're read in or not. And if they are read into it, they're required under threat, penalty of death, to not disclose it or to do what they're told to do and deceive people. And if they don't know, they don't know. You guys in this room know more than any of those religious leaders would know. Now, with that said, when I've had meetings at the Vatican and some other places, I have found that when you bring, and this is what's so beautiful about dealing with like Monsignor Balducci, who is the senior theologian for Pope John Paul, and Paula Harris set up the meetings for me there back some years ago. And what I found was that they were completely on the page with what we're doing. He knew we weren't alone. He regarded them as children of God. He viewed us all as one people. He very much saw that in the future, humans and these other civilizations all being, you know, the children of the great being, great spirit, God, supreme being, whatever you want to call it. And he didn't have any problem with it, theologically, philosophically, or any other way. And most people in organized religion I've met with feel that way. Even Billy Graham did. However, you do have some who, on the lunatic fringe of organized religion, who feel that anything that isn't literalistically in their writing is the work of the devil or the work of this and that. And they're very rigid. And, you know, it reminds me of the philosopher George Santayana, who said, fanaticism consists of redoubling your effort when you've forgotten your goal. And unfortunately, it sums up a lot of political, religious, civil movements. they become fanatical and they forgot what they started out to do, right? It's a great expression. Fanaticism consists of redoubling your effort when you've forgotten your goal. So, and that's how you end up in the weeds and going sideways. But I think for the most part, I think if it's articulated in a way that is more universal and doesn't connect to any sectarian group, because this is a universal issue, life in the cosmos, humans. But if anyone truly spiritual, certainly the Dalai Lama and others know this, they understand that there's the singularity of the Great Spirit, as Native people would call it, or of the cosmic mind and being. That is a truth in all cultures, all religions, all eras. So what are we fighting over? Well, most of the sectarian fights, or the analogy is from a Persian wise man who said this, it's the equivalent of you're really interested in the light. And the light appears in various lanterns. And one lantern's this shape, one lantern is that shape. And people start fighting about the lantern that the light is shining within instead of being connected to the light. And that lantern might be the lantern that has the light within it, may be the shape and resonance of Christ or Buddha or Muslim or this or that or Zoroaster. And all of a sudden you have millions and millions of people being killed fighting over the lantern. And then, of course, what's forgotten? Oh, the light within. I mean, that's how I view it. Okay, another one.
Okay, the next one. As this is a very large CE5 event, how have you prepared the ETs for tonight, and what do they expect?
Well, we've told them we'll be here. They've been invited. Some of us have gotten images of, certainly they are going to be here. How much can be seen and not seen depends on countermeasures from military and other operations. And you never know when it can happen. It could be something happens in a very short amount of time, so heads up. And it happens if they feel there's some larger purpose to it. So they're not here to entertain you like dolphins at SeaWorld. However, I will say, given what's happening in the world right now, and in Washington and other places, it's a very critical time. And I don't know if you remember back in 1997, there was something called the Phoenix Lights here. And most of you don't know that was a CE5 event. I was vectoring in on a U.S. Airways flight out of Washington into Phoenix Airport. And I was meeting at a digital lab out here with some volunteers, picture editor of the BBC and some other people, to put together the digital, back then DVD file that we were going to give the members of Congress in April of '97 when we did the private briefings. So I'm flying in, and I'm sitting in my seat, and we're the last half hour where you're descending, and I'm doing the CE5 protocol, and I asked the ETs, it'd be great if you could do something tonight, or while I'm here, that we'd get some really great images that are current, so that we can put it in this DVD for members of Congress in April. And I was showing where we're going to be and all this. So we're out here in Tempe, and all of a sudden we're at this lab, this digital lab, and there was a spook who was running it, who was letting us use it. And there was a retired military general in there, and this guy comes running in. I think he flew for Evergreen. And he came running. He says, "My God, there's the mothership out here." So we go, "Oh, how nice." They heard. So and of course, and there's the whole Phoenix Lights thing happened. That's a true story. But there was a purpose for it. Now, of course, tens of thousands of people saw it. What I just told you was never known or reported, and I didn't care. I talked to Linda Katai about it because she had seen quite a bit of this that was building up to it in sense, and around the South Mountains and out there. And I said, well, I guess they knew there was a purpose that was really key, because then it broke into the media locally, but it didn't break into the media nationally until after the briefings for Congress in June, as you know, of 1997. But that's how that all happened. But there was a purpose for it. I didn't need to see it. And or maybe the 26,000 or however many people who saw it needed to see it. But there was a larger purpose for it. So keep in mind, don't be selfish. If you're selfish, they know you're not ready. If you're doing it for something larger than yourself and the purpose and the future of humanity, they're more inclined to do it. They just are not interested in unevolved, selfish, self-centered, narcissistic twits. I know. I'm awfully blunt sometimes. Next question.
Okay. How many are actually running these programs, and can they really be put to an end?
What are you asking about? What is it?
Black projects. How many are, like the cabal, how many are actually in that?
Oh, there are about 200 or 300 people on the committee, internationally, transnationally. Obviously there have been thousands of people who have little pieces of it, like this whistleblower I discussed yesterday. He had that one period of operations. What I've tried to do, because you rarely are going to get someone at a very senior level of that policy and operation to come forward. Bill Colby, CIA Director Bill Colby, tried to, when he was going to hand off one of these quantum vacuum energy zero-point devices. And, the week he was going to meet with a member of my board, they found him floating down the Potomac, or south of the D.C. in the water. Made it look like an accident. His son thought it was suicide. It was neither. It was a wet works. Wet works are wet from blood assassination. And but what I've tried to do is, from people who may have a little piece of the mosaic or puzzle here, and another one here and here and here and here, is build that and put it together. Not from not one, but at this point, pushing 1,000 different people from different areas, different parts of the world. And that's when I share with you this information. That's how I'm doing it. It's not like there's one oracle from Delphi, that's sort of doing a data dump and providing everything. And that's why it's important, like the people trying to get to the bottom of this in the U.S. government, it's not like there's someone that's going to come in with an all-access pass and do that. I think at this point, what we're trying to do is give them the best assessment and they get best information from thousands and thousands and thousands of points of corroborating information. And that's the best the civilian unofficial group. And I want to be, because there are all these sort of rumors about me. I've never worked for a government. I've never worked for a contractor for a government. I've never gotten any head nickel from the government. I've given a few $1 million in taxes over my career, but I've never gotten anything. And I don't want anything. And I will also tell you that that meeting I mentioned out here at the Wrigley Mansion back in 1993 in ancient history, 28 years ago, almost 29, a couple interesting things happened. One was, one of the senior guys at that meeting in the conference room said, we have paid at least, now this is 28 years ago, 10,000 people $10 million a piece or more to secure their cooperation with these programs and keep this quiet. I said, yes, I know. The head of Army Intelligence, Bert Stubblebine, the third General Stubblebine, offered me $2 billion in 1992 to shut up and not do this. And then that group, and when I at this meeting said, you know what? It's very funny. Hey, Doc, you got great credit. I said, well, thank you. I know that. I don't believe in debt. I was so poor, I never wanted to have any debt. I work 120 hours a week before I get in debt. When you're starving, I literally starved as a child, had pica, malnutrition, abandoned on the street. So I was like very careful about that. He says, yeah. He says, well, you can take out as many black cards or platinum cards as you want. We'll erase the balance each month So you can spend millions of dollars a month because we can get in the system and just bring this to zero. This is a serious offer. I said, rain check on that. I said, because then you're going to own my sorry ass, aren't you? And he says, no, we want to help you out here, you know. I said, yeah, right. No thanks, but no thanks. That was seriously. I mean, the levels of inducements, you know, both the big stick of threats and serious things that can happen, and the bribes that they're capable of, and then the Oppo research that they can put together. You know, they can create, you know, in politics Oppo research, any kind of file, any kind of deep fake, any kind of situation to defame you or embarrass you or whatever. And all that's been done over the years.